Good day everyone, this is Queenie Filacilda reporting the Article 1227. The debtor cannot exempt himself from the performance of the obligations paying the penalty, save in the case where this right has been expressly reserved for him. Neither can the creditor demand the fulfillment of the obligations and the satisfactions of the penalty at the same time, unless this right has been clearly guaranteed him. However, if after the creditor has decided to require the fulfillment of the obligations, the performance should become impossible without his fault, the penalty may be enforced. 1153A. This means that if someone owes something and there's a penalty for not doing it, they can't just pay the penalty to get out of doing it, unless they were specifically allowed to do so, and the person they owe can't demand both the things owed and the penalty at the same time, unless it was agreed upon. But if the person owning can fulfill their obligations through no fault of their own after the creditor asks for it, the penalty can be enforced. For example, in a business contract, if one party fails to deliver goods on time as agreed, the other party might have the right to either receive the goods or to enforce a penalty for the delay, but not both simultaneously. Penalty not substitute for performance. The debtor cannot just pay the penalty instead of performing the obligations. Precisely, the purpose of penalty is to secure compliance with his obligations. If the debtor is allowed to pay the penalty, this would in effect makes the obligations an alternative one in Article 1199. The debtor can exempt himself from the non-fulfillment of the obligations only when this right has been expressly reserved for him. So for the penal clause, presumed subsidy, as a general rule, the creditor cannot demand the fulfillment of the obligations and the satisfactions of the penalty at the same time. The primary purpose of penalty is to urge the debtor to the performance of the main obligations. So when there is a performance, once the obligation is fulfilled, this purpose is attained and therefore there is no need for demanding the penalty. The exceptions arises when this has been clearly granted the credits under Article 1227. Therefore, the general rule is that a planta clause is subsidiary and not joint. This means that where there is a performance, when some fulfills their obligations according to a contract, in this case, there's no need to ask for a penalty because the job is done. For example, if you hire a painter to paint your house, once they finish the job as agreed, you don't need to penalize or give penalty to them because they have completed their task. In other side, when there is no performance in case of non-compliance, the creditor may ask for the penalty or required specific performance. The remedies are alternative and not cumulative nor successive, subject to the exemptions that the penalty may be enforced if after the creditor has decided to require fulfillment. The same should become impossible without his fault. See it in Article 1191. If there was fraud on the part of the debtor, the creditor may recover the penalty as well as the damages for non-fulfillment. See it in Article 1226. When there is no performance, this means that this refers to situation where someone doesn't do what they promise in the contract. In this case, a person who didn't fulfill their obligations might face a penalty, or the other party might ask them to do what they promise. These options are alternatives, meaning you typically choose one or the other, not both. For instance, if you hire a contractors to renovate your kitchen but they don't finish the work on time, you might ask for the penalty fee, or you might demand that they complete the renovation as initially agreed.